I'm going to show you a snippet of a week in my life working as a freelancer in the gig economy. And it's going to be a little bit of a highlight reel because this video is only 10 minutes long. So I just pulled out the most interesting parts for you, which you might watch and think, oh wow, okay. Like most weeks, it started out with an early morning trip to the grocery store. Next, I'm going to sanitize my hands and unpack my groceries. And also clean up this kitchen. My first recipe of the day, which I'm working on for a client, is nicely in the oven. And I like to keep my laptop here. Okay, my screen is super dirty. I like to leave my laptop here so that I can work on writing down all the measurements that I'm doing as I'm doing them. And now I'm just going to do a bit of tidy up and then move on to taking a photograph that I've been thinking about all morning. I did my quick little photo that I wanted to do earlier, and this is the setup I was working with today. You just have to find where your good natural light is and then use whatever's available to you to create that setup. Really, really simple, and it was over in like 2 seconds. Now it's time to clean up and recharge my batteries. This client was so happy at the end of 2020 with their increase in web traffic as a result of the work that we've been doing together. So they gave me the go-ahead to continue working with them in 2021. This is now going into our 3rd calendar year together. So I'm really excited about that. And I just really, really love their product. I use it in my everyday life anyway. So that is fantastic because in a way I'm kind of always testing. But this particular recipe I've had to test a million times because I just haven't been happy with it and I haven't found it consistent enough. And that's what part of being a recipe developer is, even if it feels like a lot of redundancy or a lot of work going back and testing over and over and over. It's about tweaking it and getting things to that right level of consistency before publishing the recipe. So that's really important. And so today I'm working on an olive oil cake. I think this is the last version that I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna be happy with this one, hopefully. This morning I woke up covered in hives and just feeling really gross, so I decided I'm gonna have a bath. I took a moment to check my EpiPen expiration dates to make sure they were current. And then Brandon was actually home, so we had lunch together, which was a rarity. And then I made a quick batch of rice milk. I feel like I'm always making rice milk or oat milk. Today there's not a heck of a lot to share with you because this is one of my administrative days, which is when I send out my invoices, track all my sales for the month, pay bills, organize things for my taxes. Like, it's a really, really important part of self-employment, but it is like pulling teeth for me to do it. And sending out invoices is obviously a very important part of doing freelance work, and it's always great when the client doesn't, when they pay right away, you don't have to chase them. But there have been quite a few clients in the past who have had to really chase and squeeze my payment out of them. And everyone pays in a different way, so you also have to make sure that you're keeping track of how the payment's going to be received, because some people do PayPal, some do e-transfer, some mail checks, like some do automatic deposit to your bank. So it's just really important to keep these things organized. And if I can dedicate 1 day per month to getting all my ducks in a row and making sure that everything is going smoothly, then it's a huge benefit to me. So that's what today is. I don't know why last night I stayed up so late, and then I woke up super late this morning and just threw off my whole day. Probably because I knew today was admin day and I just didn't want to do it. But yeah, my immune system is really fickle. So this morning I woke up with hives on my face and hives on my back, hives on my lower back. So that's why I just went and had a bath and just cleanse myself, start anew, and then do all this stuff that I don't want to do. I'm finished all of that boring stuff. And it's about 3 something. So I think I'm gonna try and film a YouTube video, because one of my goals for this year is to upload YouTube content more regularly, because when I do post every week or every couple weeks, as opposed to just sporadically posting whenever, I noticed that the algorithm really favors me and my videos are a lot more popular. So I'm trying to hold myself to a standard of posting. Weekly is unrealistic for me, honestly. I'm gonna say bi-weekly. Twice a month would be a good amount. So that's what I'm striving for. And I think today I'm going to, obviously aside from filming this video about my day, I'm going to film a video about sustainable products that have worked for me and the ones that haven't, because I've spent a lot of money on these things over the years, and some of them I think that was a waste. So yeah, so that's today's video. The video went really well, I think, fingers crossed. So now I'm just gonna tidy up from that, and we'll see what's next. What came next was an hour-long Zoom call about supply chain logistics. Today was another computer-only day for the most part, aside from my little morning walk. So outside of doing food photography, content creation, and recipe development for food companies, I also do consulting for charities working within the publishing industry. So it's a pretty specific niche, but I've had the opportunity to work with several charity organizations at this point, and all of the projects are so diverse and different, and it's really, really interesting work that I love. So in this particular day, I was doing a lot of research about e-commerce fulfillment centers and a few other things. And what I like to do is block off time that I'm doing this consulting work, because consulting is billed by the hour and I want to optimize every hour that I'm giving my client. So I tend to save all of my emails, all of my ideas, and all of my work for within specified blocks of time. So on this day, for example, I said I'm going to do 5 hours of consulting work, and I might do another couple hours another day that week. And so I tend to break it up like that, as opposed to just answering every email as it comes in, because it becomes difficult to keep track of not only your work but your time. And so I also got to make an early dinner, which is one of the nice things about working at home all the time, is you can just do whatever you need to do when you need to do it. Sometimes that's giving yourself a face massage. And then what would a day be without just a little bit of recipe testing? So I was making a rice milk hot chocolate. Good morning. After several days of having spent a lot of time on the computer, it was nice to have a content creation only day where I spent the whole day away from the computer. I had some recipes that I had finished testing and for which I wanted to do some photography. I also had YouTube content that I wanted to produce. So this day was all about that. Now, personally, motivation has never been an issue for me. I always like to do things, I'm a doer, but focus is something that I struggle with, because all of my creative ideas just come out at one time, like a waterfall, like creative vomit. And this is something that I've struggled with my entire life, is that I have a million things that I want to do, and I want to do all of them right at the exact same precise moment. So what I've learned to do in the last couple of years of working for myself is that if I know I'm having a creative day like this, the night before I create a really pared down, realistic list of the things that I want to do. And that way, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like mentally prepared and programmed that these are the things I'm going to do today, and I'm just going to do them really, really well. And so this was a really successful content creation day, and I managed to get some of my YouTube footage up and everything. So it was fantastic. I'm really, really happy with the work that I achieved that day and the quality of the content that I produced. Friday was a very random day, but also very productive. I did a ton of updates to my SEO thanks to some advice from a friend of mine. I went for a very slippery walk in my neighborhood. I edited my rice milk video, and then I actually filmed my home tour video, which I've been planning for quite a while. And while filming this video, I realized that, I know I'm a very physical talker, but it can be exhausting to be such a physical talker and film such a long video. So by the end of it, I don't even know what was happening. I'm actually really happy with the content that I got, and I'm probably going to publish it in maybe the spring or summer. But there are just some things about yourself that you don't realize you do until you're watching video footage of your physicality. And let me tell you, it's eye-opening, because I am completely unaware of myself. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any questions about freelance life or any of the things that I talked about in this video, please feel free to drop a comment down below and subscribe if you haven't already.